Good morning. Welcome to Coding Rainbow Live. I'm here in New York City at the School for Poetic Computation in the West Village of New York City, in fact. It is Thursday. My computer now says the time on it, around 11 a.m. July 14th. Happy Bastille Day to everybody in France or around the world who might celebrate Bastille, le jour de Bastille. I have no idea how you say it. Sound good, video good. Oliver, you're with me. I don't even have to ask. The sound and video is good. I'm going to turn the music off now, and I'm going to tell you that this is
Coding Rainbow
with
the
hello. Oh, okay. It didn't go to Facebook. Oh well. You know, I would say these live streams, this Wirecast software that I'm using for whatever reason, like about 25% of the time, the stream actually makes it out the door to Facebook. But I'm not going to be too worried about that. YouTube is the place where I am. And okay, so I have first of all, because I already said a bunch of things, but right now, this moment, I just remembered, this is episode number 50, which is like kind of a momentous special occasion. Unfortunately, I don't have anything special planned for today, but maybe, just maybe, in honor of episode 50, during episode 51 or 52 or 53, sometime the next week or two, I might do some special things. I have some, if you're watching this, by the way, as an archive, this is the thing that I always forget that's important to say. If you're watching this on YouTube, not live, and I referenced the chat, by the way, there is no chat anymore, but if you look at this video's description, there'll be links to various time codes as to when certain tutorial portions happen. In addition, actual like shorter 10 to 20 minute tutorials will get edited out of this longer archive. So you can look for those videos too if you prefer to just kind of like get to the edited tutorial. Keep me posted at this sort of like first 15 or 20 minutes in the chat, just like, it's still working, I see you, I hear you, I'm with you. So I want to talk just about a few kind of logistical, administrative, kind of introductory stuff, and then I'm going to get to my list. I have an agenda. I have 3 topics that I actually tweeted out this agenda, so maybe I'll just pull that up on Twitter to look at of what I'm planning to do today. I'm going to mention a little bit about scheduling. So I do these live sessions once or twice per week. If you want to find out when I'm doing them, typically they've been on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you want to find out when I'm doing them, you can go to codingrainbow.com. You'll see there on codingrainbow.com, I always have a link to my most recent video. You can click the subscribe button. I'm using something called Patreon, which is a crowdfunding website for if you want to support this channel with membership in the Patreon. There is a Slack channel that you then join, and I get a lot of questions via email, technical questions, YouTube comments, tweets. I try to answer all of those, but the Slack channel is a bit of a smaller group, and and I'm kind of always keeping an eye on it. So if you want personalized technical support on your creative coding problems, the Slack channel, that's my thing. I recommend you consider joining. You can also down here towards the bottom get updates. This is an email list you can subscribe to, and I send it out the day before I'm going to do a live stream. So typically right now they've been, does it say meatballs? Did I really type meatballs in the agenda? Okay, I gotta go look for this for a second. So hold on, I'm looking at Dominic's. Dominic in the chat, I'm like now having a paranoid, horrible fear that I just tweeted meatballs. Okay, anyway, typically I've been trying to do them Tuesday and Thursday mornings around 11 a.m. Eastern time. Today is a Thursday, it's 11 a.m. Eastern time. But if you want those email updates as to when they're gonna happen, you can subscribe to those here. Okay, now, let's go look. I'm really afraid. I'm gonna go to Twitter/Schiffman. This is, and I'm gonna go down here. No, it says Metaballs. Okay, so this is my agenda for today. I might do more than this, but I'm trying to be less ambitious with what I think I'm going to do. One thing I'm trying to do today for the 50th episode is I had a few requests in the Patreon Slack channel for particular topics, so I want to get to those requests. I also know that a couple of you, or maybe just one of you, has been tweeting to me 2D arrays in JavaScript, so maybe I'll try to do that today. I want to look at a loading animation in P5.js, so I want to make a video about the preload function and how that just kind of like loads all your media assets and then the sketch starts, versus having your sketch begin while assets are loading in the background and then being able to like display an animation like loading, 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 loading. Oh, that's a good song, by the way. Loading, 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 loading. I'm the loading song. Okay, someone will compose that. And then I want to do a Metaballs coding challenge, which has been requested, and continue the computer vision series and look at blob tracking, but not just know that there are 2 blobs, but this is blob number 1 and this is blob number 2. Dominic, you were just messing with me. Okay. I'm very, very worried about tweeting the wrong thing. Okay. A couple other things I'll mention. Number 1 is I have an official theme song coming. I say this every time because it is coming. I have had requests for merchandise. I do have a Coding Rainbow logo and some stuff. If anyone wants to offer help with sort of designing things like a sticker or a mug or whatever people are interested in, but I will do a little plug just briefly for a service that was recommended to me, Cotton Bureau. This is a online shop t-shirt thing. They seem to have high quality stuff, and I'm working on getting some Coding Rainbow t-shirts released through here. I don't know. Okay, so thank you to Cotton Bureau, who's been actually helping me like fix up some of the graphic design stuff I have to be able to make it like fit onto a t-shirt. Okay, so that's that. I'm wearing a processing t-shirt. Bonjour. Oh, I forgot. I was asking people to tweet me their greetings in their own language, and I had some great ones, really unique ones that I didn't write down. So I'm going to go track those and do that next time. Let me also mention the GitHub. So if you go to Coding Rainbow /Rainbow Topics, just want to point this out. This particular GitHub repository, Coding Rainbow /Rainbow Topics, is where I am using to primarily track the topics that I will eventually get to in this Coding Rainbow series. And so you can look, if you go there and you click on issues, I have another thing I'm going to mention, good. You can see here, here are a list of kind of recent things that people have suggested: a swarm of flies, uniform tiling symmetry mutations. These are really interesting ideas. Contributing to P5JS question, open frameworks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can also just ask kind of an open-ended question, and I will label it question for my Q&A series, which I did a bunch on Tuesday. The other thing that I'm doing here is that if you see a topic that you're interested in, you can go, you can actually go like here, if you're interested in this topic, you can go and do a like GitHub reaction, a thumbs up, and then what I actually can do, if I go back to my issues list, is I can, issues, I can sort by thumbs up, and we can see that machine learning, which I have plans to get to, and computer vision are pretty high up there. Ooh, Delaney, triangulation is also way up there. So, okay. So I don't know, I say all this stuff at the beginning of each one of these live sessions, and at some point it's all the same people watching, and maybe I'm repeating myself. You guys can let me know that. Okay, so back to my, oh yes, and now, aha. So I want to mention one more thing. So in addition to the Rainbow topics, these are currently the 4, I'm standing in front of it, I'll stand over here. There are 4 GitHub repositories as part of the Coding Rainbow organization. Rainbow topics I just showed you. Rainbow code is where there's accompanying code that goes with all the videos. Rainbow poem is a thing I was doing for a GitHub tutorial. But I want to reference the one on the top, Rainbow closed captions. So I am, one of the things that I'm doing is hoping to have all of my videos closed captioned in English. And then once that is completed, I also would love to have videos with the captions translated into other languages. I've looked into services to do this. It's actually quite a bit more expensive than I thought. So I am planning to use some of the Patreon funds to pay for some captioning. And then I am also asking for, if people are so inclined, submissions. And there are 2 ways you can do this. There's a nonprofit organization called Amara that also has a professional service to caption videos. I'm getting a quote from them to see what I might be able to pay for captions. But if you click on this link, it'll bring you to a page where they have a tool that you can watch a video and type in the captions along with it. And also you can contribute captions directly on YouTube. So I've enabled all this stuff and I put links here. But if I didn't do this correctly and you want to contribute, let me know. If you want to do translations, let me know. I also, I'm not opposed to offering some funding for this, but let's see how that goes. So I just wanted to say that the video that was recently captioned, let me see if I can find it. GitHub, Branch, Schiffman, YouTube. This, I don't know who did it. If it was you, please make yourself known because I want to thank you. But this particular video, which it's going to probably show an ad. Yes, skip, don't watch the ad. Don't watch the ad. Okay, I stand in front of it. Don't watch the ad, Dan, or watch the ad. I don't know, skip the ad. You can see now that this video is now captioned. Where am I? Here it is. So all the videos on YouTube do have automatic captions. Another way to do it, I think, would be to edit those. They're not. I'm sure they work. I'm sure it's an amazing piece of technology, but for the stuff that I'm doing, it seems to not work very well. But you can see now we could read along. So now I want to talk about a branch. The first thing that I did in my first video is, I could do a voiceover. I have this file called rainbow.txt, so I have this repository, and really, I shouldn't refer to the file because this idea of a tree or a branch, okay, maybe you don't want to watch this. Oliver asks in the chat, do you have any preferences for videos to be captioned? That's a great question. What I'm going to do for you right now is I'm going to go to my channel, which is, I think I can get to user Schiffman. By the way, one thing that I find frustrating, the actual, hold on, how do I, let's see if I click on this. Am I logged in here? Oh, I am logged in. So, okay, sorry, hold on everybody. I want to try to figure something out for a second. My channel. I actually have I wanted to talk to you about something that drives me crazy about YouTube, which is probably not their fault. Ooh, you can see all sorts of fancy things here because I'm logged in. Anyway, my channel. No, whoops. Oh, these are my subscriptions. Way too much personal information. Yes, I watch Game of Thrones. I'm in the middle of rereading all the books too. I'm a little bit obsessed. Anyway, whatever. So my channel, this is not working, but if I go here, I think if I do /c/ this is what I'm looking for. Oops. YouTube /c/Schiffman videos. So at one point, I named my channel Schiffman Videos. This was before I really thought of doing anything that I'm doing right now. I know I haven't answered Oliver's question yet. YouTube won't let me change the channel name. I've looked everywhere. Once you pick the channel, I want to change it to Coding Rainbow. So it's /c/Schiffman Videos. I think I might be able to create a new channel with a new name and then bulk move everything to that channel, but I'm a little bit afraid of doing that. Anyone has any ideas for me? Help me with that, let me know. Okay, the other thing I'll mention, I got to get to the topics, but I'll just mention this is happening. Mathieu, Math Blank on Twitter, has been helping me do a lot of work reorganizing the channel. There are new playlists, new numbering systems. If you see anything that's particularly helpful to you or not helpful to you, please let us know so that we can adjust. I am also trying to strike a balance of having annotations and links that, prompt you to subscribe to the channel or link you to Patreon if you're so inclined. And I would like them to be somewhat subtle and not in your face and not bothering you, but yet there and available. So that's a sort of tricky thing that I'm trying to strike a balance with. If anything, in terms of the ads that are on the videos is bothering you or you have any feedback or suggestions about, please let me know. Okay, so back to Oliver's question. That's a good question. I've noticed that, I think a couple things. One is I think the beginner tutorials are very important to be captioned. However, a lot of those were already captioned. So I believe most all of my P5JS intro videos were captioned. So if any of those are not captioned, I would maybe make those the priority and possibly the processing beginner ones. Otherwise, I might suggest and I don't have that one as one of the sort of featured, oh yes I do, down here. I would probably suggest a lot of these coding challenges. In case anyone's wondering, my most frequently watched, I should show you my stats. I should maybe we'll do two things that I need to do, by the way, is I also really want to do a walkthrough of this recording studio. I was waiting till I could do YouTube Live from my phone, which I don't seem to have that unlocked yet. Somebody could tell YouTube to please unlock that. I think they're unlocking it for certain creators slowly, but I don't see it on my YouTube Studio app. Because then I could just do a live walkthrough and perhaps even go back and forth between this view. But anyway, this is my most watched video, coding challenge number 3, the snake game. I don't know why. I actually now made it featured, which is probably pumping it up even more. But before I made it featured, it was still the case. So that's kind of interesting. Yes, I've been going for about 15 minutes so far, which, if I get my introduction, if I'm actually doing a tutorial before 30 minutes in, I feel like I'm doing well. I have a bad habit of going on for way too long in the introductions. Let's see how many people are watching. 49 people. It's a little bit smaller group today, but that's nice. And yeah, okay. So I think that's all the introductory stuff that I wanted to mention. Let's take a look at my agenda again. Here we go. I think I'm going to do it in exactly this order and start with the loading animation. Oh, I forgot. Aha. There were a couple other things that I want to add to this agenda. All right, hold on. Can I copy? Whoops. Let me see if I can copy paste this. Aha. On Twitter, Giorgio Martini suggests 2D arrays in JavaScript. So let's make the agenda. But got to have some priorities here. This is going to be today's agenda. What I also wanted to talk about is, I don't know what to call this, kind of GIF style animation in P5.js. Also sprite animation. And then 2D arrays in JS. Okay, so this is now my new agenda, which now I did exactly what I don't want to do, which is made an unrealistic agenda that's too many topics. When I go to contribute to a caption, I can't add French caption. Anyone to help me? Okay, so it's possible that I need to unlock something for the French language. I will look into that. I would look into it right now, but I think that might take me too long. So Arnaud Lok, if I pronounced your name correctly. Good day from Australia. Good day, Kanga from Australia. If you want to tweet me a reminder after I finish the live stream, I'll look into it in terms of adding the French option. Okay. So we're going to be doing some JavaScript programming. And when I do JavaScript programming, I always forget this dot. So I'm going to let this music play while I get myself set up. I need to open Addendum. This dot, I'm going to do this dot, I'm going to do this dot, this dot, I'm going to do this dot, I'm going to do this dot, I'm going to do this dot, I'm going to do. I need a screen up there. That's one of the things I really want to do. Where is the empty example? How come I don't see? Did I put it in here? Oh, empty example. Ah! Download. I'm going to do the this dot song. Never forget the this dot. Somebody composed that song for me. Firework is not defined. Line 6. Yep, as always, I always forget the this dot. I'm going to do the this dot. Why can I not? Oh, there it is. Loading animation. Somebody composed that song for me. Okay. This dot song, never forget this dot. This dot, this dot song, never forget this dot. This dot song, never forget this dot. And what I'm looking for, loading animation. Okay. Firework is not defined. Okay, line 6.
As always, I always forget the this dot. This dot's on. Firework is not defined. Line 6. As always, I always forget the this dot. This dot's on. Firework is not defined. Okay, line 6. As always, I always forget the this dot. This dot's on. Firework is not defined. Okay, line 6. As always, I always forget the this dot's on. Firework is not defined.
Okay.
Line 6.
Oh my God. One thing I should mention is like a really, really hot day in New York City. It's getting very hot in this room. So we'll see how this goes. But I'm committed to doing this. Rain or shine or heat wave. Just if I start appearing like a little sweaty or panicky looking. Okay. Almost ready. Okay. Oh, cameras are going off. All right, let me get my fan. By the way, do you guys hear like a kind of white noise when I'm quiet? Like a fan running? So I've got some fans going for the heat. Actually, that's what I've been trying to think of a Patreon goal. And maybe my next Patreon goal should be if I reach $1,000 per month in crowdfunding, I will buy a floor air conditioning unit. Although at some point it will just get very cold here in New York City and it won't be an issue anymore. Okay, let's see. So I'm almost ready to start this particular example. Now, I do have a little bit of an issue, which is that I need to have a lot of files to load. So what I'm going to do, okay, I've got an idea. So this is going to require a little bit of prep. So I'm going to schiffman.net. This is my website, which I have a lot of things I need to fix about my website. It looks like I don't need to because I feel like the homepage looks quite nice here. But there are some issues. Which I'm looking for, like this blog I don't do anymore, and I have some online tutorials, and it has the about everywhere for every post. Okay, let me just do the Google search. Animation Schiffman. It's going to seem a little weird that I'm Googling Animation Schiffman Hanukkah, but oh, what is that music? Oh, it's just random music on SoundCloud. That's nice. I'm looking for. But not this one. Image sequence object. Okay. I'm going to download this. Okay, let me just show this example to you, by the way. This is a processing example, and I was thinking of doing this as a tutorial in P5. By the way, okay. I definitely would like more soothing, relaxing, meditative music to go against my generally panicky existence. How come nothing opened there? Here we go. So this is an example that I made. At one point, before in 2011, which somehow is like 5 years ago now, I made an example to just show you how to create. Each of these are image sequences. And I've loaded the same image sequence. I'm playing them at different speeds. I'm using them as like kind of like a sprite animation. So I do want to do a tutorial of how to do this in P5.js. The reason why I'm pulling this up right now is that I need just like something with a lot of images to load for my loading animation. And so this I think will work if I go to the data folder here. So I'm going to grab this. And I'm going to go now to loading animation. Is here, and then I'm going to add this here. So you can see, these are all of the images, and you can imagine. The one thing I worry about that is I don't remember where I got this from. Although I'm pretty sure that I would have been conscientious about this in 2011 and picked something free from like a free open Creative Commons licensed website. I'm just gonna have to trust my 2011 self that I did that. Tushar is asking if I was a mentor for Apache. I think you're asking me of Google Summer of Code. Google Summer of Code is a wonderful program. I have participated in the past. I've been a mentor and actually an organization administrator for the Processing Foundation. Processing, however, was not selected this summer by Google to participate, so I am not a mentor this summer, unfortunately, but hope to be again in the future. Okay, so let me close this. I'm getting very close to being able to do this. Now the other thing I want to look for is my sound tutorials, P5JS sound, because the sound has a 7 megabyte file to load. So I'm going to grab that. So now this sketch, what I'm going to demonstrate with this sketch Pixelform Studios is how did you import the images. So I'm going to look at doing that. I really like this music. It's soothing me. Yeah, okay, I better shut off the music in case it does. I'm pretty sure, wouldn't it only play, let's look at this track. First of all, let me at least make sure I credit this track. This is, I believe it's this track right now that's playing. Related tracks. This is a related track. I'm going to click it, and let's look at the license. Does anybody know where to find the license? I don't see it anywhere. I'm not really a SoundCloud user, so I don't see where this is. But I'm just going to hope. But thank you, Energy Awaken, for your track by Robert Haig Coxon, Abreu, Masterhood. Okay, so I gave it credit. Hopefully YouTube's not going to like put all sorts of extra ads on this video because I used somebody else's music. Okay. Yeah, I have a new sound effect for when something like that happens. I don't know. This sound effect, by the way, comes from, I should credit it. It comes from here, I think. I think this is where I got it. Yeah, this is it. So anyway, credit goes here. It says it's give credit if used. Okay. Oh, and it gives the music. Oh, I've got to make a. I want to make a processing a P5JS sound example that just plays this sound. We'll do that at some point. Okay. All right, let me close this out. I got to get to this. It's almost been a half an hour and I haven't started the tutorial yet. So I said I can't go past a half an hour for the introduction. Okay, sketch. Now, let me just make sure I have everything spaced out properly. This is where this looks good. How's this font size? In the console, that definitely needs to be bigger. That's probably good. This is good placement. I've got the code here. Okay, I think I am ready for my first tutorial of the day. I just need to fix one thing. This is bothering me. This should go in here. And here we go. That's the sound when someone unsubscribes. Did you know that PewDiePie has 45 million subscribers on YouTube? That makes me, that's like, my head exploded when I saw that. Okay, so I'm going to cycle the cameras. I have not prepared for this, by the way. The Metaballs challenge that I hope to do, I'm just getting these fans pointed at me to keep it. Oh, the camera, it went off a little bit. By the way, I felt like I kind of overdid it on the last live stream where I was like dancing every 5 seconds. So I'm trying to take it a little more easy today. All right, so the tutorial that I'm going to do, just reminding myself, is I'm going to show a sketch that loads a lot of images and loads a big sound file. And I'm going to show how long it takes to load before the sketch appears. And then I am going to demonstrate how to load the things asynchronously and draw your own animation while things are loading. Okay? Okay. Here we go. Let's see how many people. Okay, let's see. I'm just sort of checking. 71 people are watching. Thank you. I am also broadcasting on Twitch, by the way. If you are watching this on Twitch, I don't look at the Twitch chat. I'm sort of focused on YouTube, so coming over to YouTube. But some people have requested Twitch, so I am posting it there. Okay, here we go. VTom, who's suggesting lots of other programming languages. I'm going to do stuff in JavaScript right now. I might do some stuff in processing, which is Java-based. I actually am definitely going to later during the stream. I won't be doing C++ today, but I do someday. I may consider that. Okay, okay. Here we go. Actually, you know what? That's fine. This can stay up here. I'm trying to think of what. You know what I'm going to do for this tutorial? I'm going to actually just in advance, let me see, this stick thing is 40 files. Sorry, I think what I would like to do is to make this tutorial a little bit more streamlined. It bothers me that they're not numbered from 0. Oh, I can't do this. Oh my goodness. Oh no, I can. Yes. No. Sorry. This is why it's good that I'm doing this in advance. Oh boy, I realize I'm going to make this kind of complicated, but that's okay. Are they PNGs or JPEGs? PNGs. And so let me run this. Whoa, did not find stick. Oh, they're nicely numbered with a 0. See, this is good that I am. I'm doing this in a very silly way. So you can see it takes almost a full second for this sketch to load. And then if I comment out the preload stuff, you know, it still takes 200 milliseconds, but it's a lot less time. So, and I'm just curious, like, there's no such thing as a delay in JavaScript. Okay. Hold on, sorry. Is there any way you could provide a download for the stick images? When I post this code example, it will have the stick images with it. I really gotta look where I got those from. Okay, I mean, okay. I could just use other random images, but I'm gonna hope that it's okay. Okay, let me see here. All right, so I made this overly complicated, which was not my intention. There is a way. How do you do that thing, right, with the question mark? I never write code that way. Right, I say something like num equals I is less than 10 question mark. I, or, what's that shorthand syntax? Question mark if code thing. Somebody in the chat will just post this for me. So that I can put, if it's less than 10, I want it to be this. Otherwise, it's like something like this. Yeah, colon, that's what it is. Thank you. I don't know why I can never remember this. See, as a teacher, I basically don't ever write code like this because of how horrifically ugly this. No, it's not ugly. It's actually quite beautiful in its own sort of elegant way, but it's very cryptic and makes it look like. Okay, so did I get that right? I did. Okay. This is not so relevant to the video. The point is that I'm loading a whole lot of images. All right. Okay, I got to get started here. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. I was like drawing a blank. Okay. Honestly, it's probably just like the song. Yeah, the song, by the way, takes up almost all of the time. But you get the point. Okay. Here we go. I am now ready for this first tutorial. And I should probably, whatever. I want it to take longer. You know what I'm going to do? For a dramatic effect, I'm just going to load the same song twice. There we go. That's much better. Okay, here we go. And you know what I'm going to do here too? Really? Why is it? Oh. Sorry, everybody. Syntax error. Console.log floor, the millis, plus. This looks totally reasonable to me. What did I get wrong here? Sketch line 22. Oh. Whoa, there's just some extra weird nonsense here. Okay, great. Here we go. I'm finally going. 37 minutes. This is terrible. Okay. Hello and welcome to a tutorial about how to program a loading animation on a page in JavaScript using P5.js. So I have a P5.js sketch here. All it renders is this gray square. It doesn't do anything yet. But when I run it, you'll notice it says loading there, and then the sketch pops up, and it took 1,355 milliseconds, or about 1.4 seconds. Did I round that correctly? I'm not sure. So what's going on here? So P5.js actually has built into itself, if there are things to be loaded before the sketch runs, a sort of automatic loading display. So that sort of comes up automatically. The reason why that comes up is because in the code, I'm using this function called preload. So preload is a function that's designed to operate synchronously, meaning the rest of the code, the setup function, won't actually be triggered until everything that needs to be loaded in preload is done. So images, sounds, JSON files, data files, videos, all sorts of media or data assets that you might load, you can load those things in preload and then know that they're ready to be used when setup and draw continue. Now, this is very convenient for like quick and dirty testing, for I just have a couple images, whatever. You don't have to worry about callbacks and asynchronous this and that and whatever. And but once you're maybe, two reasons why this might not be so great for you is number one, you might actually have a ton of stuff to load that it takes seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds for the sketch to load, and you want to see other things start while stuff is loading in the background. That's one thing I'm going to show you how to do. The other thing is just, as you release something onto the web, maybe you just don't want the users to kind of see this default loading thing for a little bit and want to customize and do something special yourself. So that's what I'm going to look at. How do I take things that are loaded in, how how do I take how do I take things that are loaded in preload and load them asynchronously so that a callback can register when they're loaded and have other things animate at the same time? Okay, I got distracted by looking at a live chat that's going on. I'm not going to look at it anymore while I complete this video. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go back to the code. And actually, honestly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you eventually what I can do in terms of all of these images and multiple MP3 files. But I'm going to simplify for a second. And I'm going to comment out some of this stuff. And I'm just going to load, I'm just going to have one MP3 file load. Okay, so let's run this again. And we can see that one MP3 file took about 811 milliseconds to load. So one thing I want to do is let's come up with some goofy loading animation. So I'm going to do something really quickly. I'm going to say translate width divided by 2, height divided by 2. I'm going to draw a line from 0, 0 to like 100, 0. I'm going to say the stroke weight is 4 and the stroke is 255. And then I'm also going to rotate by some angle, and I'm going to have that angle increase over time. Now, I am making perhaps a rather uninteresting loading animation. I just want like a spinning line. But you know, this video is not about making an interesting animation, loading animation. It's just about where to place it and how to deal with it. And then I hope to see all of your exciting, different, creative, rainbow-colored loading animations on the internet after you watch this video. So if I run this, you can see, now notice that animation came up after, right? Because this happens in draw. Draw starts after. So this is my loading animation, a little spinning line, nothing too fancy. So if I were to not load this song, you can see it comes up basically, that comes up basically immediately. So now, what if I were to take this load sound code and put load sound now in setup? Notice there is no delay anymore. When you call, so a loading function that you call in preload, it has to wait and finish before it goes to setup. A loading function that you call in setup does not stop and wait before it goes to draw. It goes to draw immediately. So how do you know, right? If I were to say this, song1 equals load sound, and then I were to say song1.play, why did these get sort of strangely colored? I don't know what Adam is doing to syntax highlight this stuff, but I'm not going to worry about that. If I run this, you can see this is the error I'm going to get. It's not ready to play the file because it hasn't loaded yet. So the way that this works, and I have some other videos about this, is with this idea of a callback. So I can write a callback here that's called something like sound loaded. So I can add a second argument to the load function, and this is the same for load image, load JSON. I can add that second function, and here I can write that, there's lots of different ways I could write the function, embed it in there anonymously, in setup, but I'm just going to make it a separate function outside here. And it's going to have, it has an argument, which is the sound object that actually was loaded. And I'm going to say song1 equals song. I'm just going to do this for right now. And then I'm going to say song1.play. And now we should see, do you hear it? There should be a song playing. It's got a little like record scratch at the beginning. So you can see that song, as soon as it's loaded, that thing is spinning. And there was like a little pause there. Now, that hiccup really shouldn't be there. I wonder if it's there. It's interesting to sort of like examine and debug that. The whole point of what I'm doing is to avoid a hiccup like that. But let's see. What I could now do is I could create a variable like finished loading. Or let me just create a variable called loading. And I'm going to set that variable equal to true. And I could say here in draw, if loading, draw this loading animation. Otherwise, I'm just going to do a green background like everything is loaded. So what I can actually do is I can put in the callback that plays the song, I can say loaded equals true. So I start with a Boolean variable. Oh, no, sorry, it's called loading. Loading equals false. So I start with a loading variable equal to true. So while that's true, I draw the spinning animation. And then at some point in the callback, when loading is finished, I set that to false, and draw then switches to the other animation. So let's go back and see. Spinning, spinning, green. And the music starts. Green. Okay, so now here's the thing. So that's part one. There's actually a bit more to it than this. Let's just see something kind of exciting. I'm pretty sure I need a stop button. I'm going to mute the tab just for a second so it doesn't play the song. Now, there's another aspect to this. I'm pretty sure that the sound library, when you pass it a callback like sound loaded, you can actually give it a third callback. I think you can give it a third callback, which is like, maybe I'll call it progress. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to have to look in the reference a second if I get this wrong. But I can write another function called progress. And that callback is triggered continuously, giving you a percentage of the amount that's loaded. So I'm just going to put console log percent to see if this works. No. So let's go and look at the P5JS reference. Sound file, and I'm going to go and look for success callback, error callback, and while loading callback. So I think if I want to use this while loading callback, I need to also give it an error callback, which is useful to have as well. So I'm going to do like error, and now I just need a function error. And I can just, if there were an error, like the file didn't exist, I could log that error. So here I'm getting kind of like ballooning my code, which is why when you're just kind of like sketching out ideas, you don't necessarily want to do all of this stuff. But when you get to a finishing stage of a project and you want to kind of like add some, nice features, you can start adding all this stuff. So I have a callback. There's three kinds of events. There's, I loaded the song successfully. There was an error, the song didn't load. And then there's a callback that's like, it's loading, it's loading, it's the loading song. It's loading, it's loading, it's the loading song. So let's see if this works now. Right, you can see, this like, let's be a little bit more thoughtful about this. So I'm gonna say percent times 100, and I'm gonna floor it. Why did I get negative 308 and then 229? That is crazy. Let's look at the documentation. I'm not sure if I either made a mistake or there's a bug in P5. So while loading callback, name of the function to call while is loading. That function will receive a percentage loaded between 0 and 1 as a... So I believe that I have done this correctly and that... I should get, percent, I spelled percent wrong. I should get, so I'm going to investigate that later. I'll probably at the end of this video, you might see an addendum where I fix that, because I'll go and debug that and then edit that back on later. But I'm just going to keep going, although what I was going to demonstrate to you, I'm going to debug this. Anybody in the chat have any idea what I might have done wrong? Let me look at this. Error progress. I think I've just found a bug, right? I mean, right? This has got to be, what could I'm doing it exactly as indicated. Are there other arguments? All right, let's do this. This is something you can do in JavaScript, by the way. There's a secret array that always exists called arguments, which just gives you a list of all the arguments to a function. Yeah, but the documentation says I should get a number between 0 and 1, and I'm clearly not getting a number between 0 and 1. Okay, so I feel like this is a bug, and I won't go with what I was about to do. I'm going to move on. Unless somebody has an idea why that would happen. Okay, so I'm going to try renaming the error function. A good idea. Nope. Explain to a rubber duck. Don't let the bug bug me. Okay, I got to move on because it's already noon. I got an agenda to try to stick to. So let me back out of this. Okay. I'm back and I couldn't figure out that error, so I'm going to have to look at it later and file some sort of like follow-up video to this, but I'm going to keep moving in this tutorial. So what I'm going to do right now is actually take out that progress thing. Since it's not working for me, I'm not going to use it in this particular, but I'm going to show you some other stuff, and I'm just going to go back to sound loaded. And I'm going to do this, and we're going to see, okay, so this is working. Now, here's the thing. What if I have two sounds, song 1 and song 2? So now what I need to do is do song 1 and song 2. So, you know, they should be different, two different songs, but actually the computer doesn't know. Like, I just telling it to load the same MP3 file, it's going to take a while. So the issue is, what if I want both of those to have the same callback? But I want the correct one to play when it's loaded, and I want to keep track of the total number of things loaded. Oh my goodness. Yikes. This is actually a time, I walked into a sort of treacherous area here, but this is a time where using a JavaScript closure would actually be something quite useful. So I'm going to actually create a function that's called, I'm going to call it rainbow song, load, rainbow song, and I'm going to pass it song 1 and rainbow.mp3. You'll see what I'm going to do in a second. And I'm going to call that function again. Now, these should really be like two different MP3 files, but I'm just going to use one MP3 file for right now. You'll see in a minute why I'm doing this. So I have a separate function. What I want to do is say, I want the variable song1 to go with this MP3 file. And you know what I'm going to do? This is, even though it's the same music, what I'm going to do is, hold on, reveal in Finder, show in Finder. This is going to make things much less confusing. I'm actually just going to create two versions of the file, because what you actually would be doing is if you want to load two songs. Okay? So now there are two different MP3 files. For all you know, they're two different songs. And what I'm going to do here, right, I have a two that I want to load. So I'm creating a function called rainbow song. And in that function, what does that function take? Rainbow song. It takes a variable like song, and it takes a file name. And what I want to do is I want to load that file into that particular variable name and then know that it's loaded and play that particular variable. So here, in other words, now this load sound function needs to then go inside that function. Okay? And what am I loading? I'm actually loading this file name now. So I just created a wrapper function to call the load sound function and be able to receive the file name as an argument. Why? Because now what I can do is in this sound loaded function, I can say song equals that particular sound, right? This is a closure. I now have access to either the variable song1 or song2. I have a whole video just about this concept that you can go and look. And now what I can do is I can say song.play. So in other words, I was able to here, if I say song1 equals load sound, sound loaded, song2 equals load sound, sound loaded, and this is my sound loaded function, I have no way to know when that callback happens, which file was it. But here, I now know how to do that because I have then instead taken the load sound away and made that happen in my own function that receives arguments. This is essentially how you pass arguments to a callback. I pass arguments to a function that then defines the callback within that function, so I have access to those arguments, and that's a JavaScript closure. This function is enclosed in that other function. Okay, that's a bit of a side topic here, but it's kind of necessary for this type of thing that you might be doing. There's an error. I made a mistake. I'm missing a semicolon somewhere. Yes, thank you very much. This is an error. The chat, thankfully, saved me there. So I'm going to put that. I think I've got everything right now. So what I want to do, forget about the loading animation for a second. What I want to do now is I just want to do this. Console.log file name. So here I'm going to be able to see the file that was loaded. Run this. Rainbow 1. So you can see those files. I now have access to when they're loaded separately. And I get this like weird little pause when the first one loads in my animation. I don't know why that's happening. The whole point of doing this is to eliminate that. But OK, so I've got my loading animation going. And now what I can do is I could have a counter. You know, I really should be using an array. Let's use an array. Yeah, let's use an array. That's how you would do it probably. I'm going to make this an array. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to say 0, 1. So I'm just going to pass in an index into the array. Those should be named rainbow 0, rainbow. And then what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to say songs index, and this is now an index. Songs index equals sound. And I'm going to say console.log index plus file name. And then songs index. So now I have an array of sounds, and only 2 of them. And you can see they're being loaded separately, 0 and 1. So now I could easily have something like a counter, right? So I could say counter equals 0. And here, whenever the song is loaded, I could say, you know, counter plus plus. And I could say if counter equals 2, then loading equals false. So now I know only stop the loading animation actually only stop the loading animation after I've loaded everything. And there we go. So you can see it's loading them one at a time. And it's loading them one at a time. Okay. Pause, edit point. Create push functionality, better code. So I saw something in the chat. I'm trying to think here. Anyone have a sense of how long this video is so far? Maybe about 15 minutes? My code is getting messy. I know my code is getting messy. I could clean it up. Yes, it is getting messy. Sorry, that wasn't like a sort of. Let me do that again. Thank you for your nice feedback. I'm sorry, my code is a little messy. Okay. So I'm trying to decide if it's worth doing all the images now. Or if I've around 17 or 18 minutes. Okay, if I want to add all the images now. I think so, because what I wanted to do was do something that's kind of showing a bit of a counter. So, you know what I'm going to do though? Forget about the images. I'm taking out the images. I'll do that in something else. What I'm going to do is just briefly, I'm going to do something silly, just to demonstrate the idea. Loading animation, sorry, I'm going to do songs. While I'm, during this edit point, I'm going to do this. Get rid of the ends. The images add like sort of an extra layer of complication. And I'm going to do, the same concept would apply. Yeah. Rainbow 3. Rainbow 4. Rainbow 5. I'm just going to do 9 of them. Rainbow 6. Rainbow 7. Rainbow 8. And Rainbow 9. Okay, so now I have 0 through 9. Okay, so I have 0 through 9. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to expand this code to know exactly how many songs it should load. The cameras are going off. I'm going to expand this code to know exactly how many songs it should load, and then I'm going to show a progress bar. So I think that'll be useful. Okay. Okay, here we go. Yeah, there was probably some fast, efficient way. So let me delete this preload thing. clean this up a little bit. This is no longer relevant. There, see, my code's not that messy. I can take this out too. Okay, so, oh, rainbow 2 is now missing. Rainbow 2, well, okay, hold on. And I don't necessarily want to play them. Yeah, I could just use push. Okay. Wait, why did that happen? Oh, because I moved them into a directory called songs. Okay. Okay, great. So I'm going to make some improvements to this and then add a loading bar. Okay. Hold on. Sorry, everybody. Trying to get this. There we go. Okay, I'm back, and what I'm going to do now is improve the code with a few cleanup things, as well as show you how to have a loading bar kind of go through the percentages as a bunch of things are loading. So while I was taking a quick break there, what I did is I added 10 songs to a folder. So now what I want is for this sketch to load all 10. So there's a bunch of improvements I can do here. Number one is I can have a variable called total songs, and that's going to be equal to 10. The other thing I could do is I really don't need to call this individually with passing in the index. I can really just write a loop right now. I could say for var I equals 0, I is less than the total songs, I plus plus. And really all I need to do now is I don't need that index. I can just say, let me dynamically make that file name. Let's leave the index there for right now, because I'll show you why you may or may not want to use it. And I can just put, I in the file name. So this is me saying, like, instead of saying load rainbow 1, load rainbow 2, I'm saying loop through I going from 0 up to 10, and loop and do rainbow I, which is rainbow 0, rainbow 1, rainbow 2. That's a song, rainbow 0, rainbow 1. Okay, so now we should see 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, notice it stopped. It thinks it loaded after it got just through 2. That's because I have this counter here. And really, I need to say when this counter equals total songs now that I have that as a variable. So now I can say it's loading 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it's finished loading. So I'm doing pretty well here. And let's see, let's make a few more improvements here. Now, one thing is, I don't actually need this index here. I can get rid of the index here, because one thing I could just do, and I'm going to keep the file name here, is I can just say songs.push sound. And that'll just say anything that's coming in, push it onto the array. But there is a slight issue with this. Let's see. Well, first of all, the issue is that nothing. I'm loading forever, loading forever. What did I miss here? Console log file name. Timeout. What did I miss here? Console log. Oh, oh, oops. Okay, maybe there'll be a small edit there. I don't know. Oops, I have index still here as an argument where I just want file name now. And you can see 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow. So what I was really expecting to happen is for those not to come in order. They did come in order, which is kind of lucky, but there's no way to guarantee that they're going to happen in order. So if you care about the order of those things in the array, then you're going to want to keep the index as you're calling the load function. But In this case, it didn't really matter. So what I'm going to do now is do something really, really simple. In addition, is I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to make a stroke of 255, and I'm going to have no fill. And I'm going to draw a rectangle from 1010 to like 500 across. That's 20 pixels high. Let's just see that there. Oops, that's way too wide. Still too wide. Okay, so you can see now I have a rectangle up at the top. And then what I want to do is draw a rectangle with no fill. No stroke. And I want to give it a fill, like 255, and maybe with some alpha. And then I want to draw that same rectangle, but I want the width to be a variable. So if I do this, for example, and just give that width equal to mouse x, look, as I move my mouse around, that rectangle, there's a rectangle inside the outer one. And now, since I have that counter, I can say that is something like 200 times the counter divided by total songs, right? Because counter is counting up how many total songs, and we should be able to see here. As they're loading, you can see the progress of that loading bar moving forward. Oh, okay, I like this. This will be like a GIF animation, the loading song. Loading, 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 loaded. Okay. All right, so that's how to program a loading animation in P5.js. Instead of using preload, which I've now commented out, you can call things in setup with callbacks. You can keep track of when the callbacks are finished. You can put things into an array. You can use a closure to keep track of a whole bunch of things with the same callback. There's a lot to this, but hopefully this gave you some JavaScript learning and information and was helpful. Make a nicely designed, more beautiful, rainbow-colored, perhaps, loading animation. Share it with me, and I would love to check it out. Okay, thanks for watching this video, and there may be an addendum on it. I'm not sure just yet, or this might be the end. I don't know. It'll be a mystery. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. Oh, I need a soundboard really badly. Goodbye, maybe. Okay. All right, so this reminds me of one other thing to cover. So how is that useful, that example, useful, good? It's very hot in here. No, let me look back at the, yeah, I'm gonna have to look at that. My internet is having trouble. What does that mean exactly? Is everybody, is this stream working okay for everybody? I am following my agenda. So where is my agenda? So loading animation in P5.js. You know what? I really want to, I feel now, I want to do this GIF animation thing, but I really want to make sure that I have, that I found that stick figure thing from a properly licensed thing. So, I'll come back to that. So I'm going to do the Metaballs next. It's 12:20. Oh, it's hot in here. I need a thermometer. I really should have a thermometer in here just to sort of see how hot it's getting. It's got to be 30 Celsius. I'm trying to use Celsius because I have such an international audience. So if you guys are telling me that you're getting hopefully it's on your end. The good news is the good news is I am recording this straight to disk. So there is a backup file of everything, and it will get published if there was an issue. It is 5:20 in the UK. Okay, coding challenge time. Metaballs. So I actually programmed this last night. Oh, I need my fan to be a little closer. Wow, Kanga, it's 2:20 a.m. Where are you in the world that it's 2:20 a.m.? Where did I save the Metaballs code? I'm just going to show it to you and find the reference that I found useful. Shoot, wasn't careful about where I saved this. Did I save it here? Did I save it here? Shoot. I guess. Hold on. Hold on, my computer screen's going to disappear for a second. I'm going to do something. I'm in the void, but I'm looking for something. I'm looking for some code that I whipped up last night and didn't carefully figure out, and I'm just like opening up my email and stuff. So I'd rather that not appear on the live stream. But it's not showing up even where I think. I'm going to have to do something really quick. Everybody hold your horses. I am in space. Void. I am in the void. Skip this version. Open up processing. Oh, so wait. Are you watching this live in Germany? So for a long period of time, YouTube was blocking live streams to Germany. I don't know whether it was YouTube was blocking it or the sort of German whatever firewall, if there is one. But apparently that licensing got worked out. Okay, hold on. Rainbow code challenges. Okay, I know where it is now. Of course. I'm coming back. Here I am, logging back in. Ba-ba! Okay, and now let me go back to processing. Okay, open. I know where it is now. Documents, coding rainbow. It's exactly where it should be. Code challenges. There it is. Whoops, not that one. Okay, so this is what I'm going to program. This is the next topic. So the next topic is something called Metaballs, which is kind of one of your classic creative coding, graphic visualization thingies. I'm going to do this in processing because I'm going to do it pixel-based, and the performance is just a little bit better in Java processing. I will, especially if you remind me, release a P5.js JavaScript version of this. There's also sort of two methods for doing this. There's the sort of pixel-based and there's the geometry-based way. I'm going to do the pixel-based today, but I should do the geometry-based at some point, which then would be vectory stuff, and I could do that in 3D or in JavaScript very easily and with a high performance. But I want to look for, there is a reference which I used, which was really good. I think it's this one. This is the reference that I read last night, Exploring Metaballs and Isosurfaces in 2D. When I looked at it, it was like a little bit, it's like lost some of its formatting, like some of the C++ example code is missing. But what I want to do is just actually quickly explore what I want. Wow, are you really watching from Syria? That's amazing. Hello, I just love the internationalness of this audience. That is wonderful to me. Okay, I just crashed this page. Like, you know what? I was having this problem. My computer kept crashing as I was reading this page. There's some sort of script or something running on this page. So I'm not really going to be able to reference it too much. I'm going to close that right now. But the thing that I wanted to look at, because I noticed like on the task manager, where's the task manager under window? Am I okay now? Like Chrome was going crazy on that page. But you guys can't see that, but all right. So, okay. Okay. Here we go. No, where am I going to? Trying to go back to that page. So what I want to sort of show you, this is what I'm going to do. OK, I got it. So I'm going to do some pre-work here. And I'm just going to grab this code for a second. I'm just adding some code here to talk about something. So, sorry everybody. Just doing some setup here. Oh, am I still in HSB? Oh, no. Okay. Okay, this is what I want. So this is what I want to start with. I want to know where you live, Johnson. If I've never heard of the country, that's even better. Okay, so all right. So this is what I'm going to start with. So this is what I want to talk about. This is an example where every pixel's color is determined according to an equation. And that equation is, I got to talk this through myself. And actually, let me check. I need to, this is all askew. That equation is the distance between x and y and the center x and the center y. So if you think of this, the idea here is that I'm going to do this twice because I want to talk through this myself. The idea here is that I'm going to look at every pixel, and that pixel is going to, its color is going to be determined as a function of its location. So for example, I could say its color is x plus y. And if I come back here, I could say its color is x plus y, in which case, whoa, I would have something crazy looking like this. And that's because I didn't, I'm going to just do that as a little hack for a second. Oh, I'm in the wrong screen. Sorry. So, okay, I am not half Greek. Sorry, I talked about Greekness on the last Coding Rainbow, but just to clarify, I have no Greek in my DNA, blood, heritage, or maybe I do actually if I did a full genetic analysis, but my wife is from Greece, and so there is Greek in my family. Okay. Okay, now, okay, so this is what I want to talk about. So the idea here, I'm just getting my head wrapped around this. And so what the Metaballs formula is let's say there's one circle. Where's the eraser? I need an eraser. Sorry. I think I've got this. The idea here is that, okay, so we could see that we could make up this formula, and I'll get that. Then we could use the distance formula, and I would get something else. Now I could do, say, let's make the color inversely proportional to the distance from some ball and that pixel's x, y. And the ball is maybe this thing. So each pixel's color is going to be inversely its color is going to be related to the inverse of the distance between some ball. Then I'll implement that. And then I will add a second, and the ball's radius actually goes here in the top of the formula. Then I'll add a second one, I sum them together, and then I'll move them around, and you'll see the effect. That's going to be my trajectory. Okay, I think I have got, and metaball is not to be confused with meatballs. It's also called an isosurface. So, So I'm going to, I want to credit this article, and then I'm going to start with, in the coding challenge, I'm going to have, I'm going to have this up. So this is going to be my starting screen. It's going to have the article I used, the finished code that I will eventually get to, and then I'm sorry, I'm looking at the, I should definitely eat meatballs. That would be a good shtick. Eat meatballs. I prefer to be like tofu meatballs. I'm not a big red meat eater. I guess you can have other kinds of, you can have some salmon meatballs. I like salmon. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm ready to do this. What time is it? It is 1 hour and 20 minutes into this live session. I'm going to cycle the cameras. I want to have my processing code open. I think people seem to like it when I really do this stuff from scratch. So I am, for better or worse, not going to have any code available to me, even though it's often a bit faster when I do that. And then, I want to get my, so hold on. At the end of this video, what I'm going to do is, let me just fix this for a second. You'll see what I'm doing in a second. What I'm going to do at the end of this video is it really taking that long to start up? Is I'm going to, okay, thank you very much. Had a mistake there. What I'm going to do at the end of this video is I'm going to control the metaballs with live blob tracking. So I'm going to make a metaball visualization that I can control with these cups. That's going to be totally fun. Synergy, combining my video tutorials together. Okay, so I have that ready to go. So this is my code. I'm going to call this coding challenge Metaballs in coding rainbow, not to be confused with meatballs. I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. I'm going to open this up. And I think I'm ready to go. Did I cycle the cameras? I believe I did. Oh, I need to erase the whiteboard, which I will use. How's the, you know what I should do real quick? Is it blurry, the whiteboard? Let me, it's way askew, but I don't have the energy to deal with that. I'm focusing the camera right now is what I'm doing. Watch this. I don't know what that looked like to you. That was my face. Let me try to focus it. I wish you in the chat could tell me, but you're like, that's pretty good. Okay. Oh boy. This camera is, I gotta tighten this camera. It's quite loose. Let me erase all. And we are ready for the Metaballs coding challenge. This should be a 20 to 30 minute video, and hopefully it's going to work. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Actually, can I go down there? Better. Okay. I'm ready. I got a fan going. Oh, this fan is not, yes, this fan is on. That's a little bit more air. Okay, here we go, everybody. Just because this one might get a little bit long, let's do this one more time. Oh, this light is not on. There's a light that's off. Oh, it must look so much better in here now. Have you guys been figuring it out? There's 16 countries watching. That's kind of amazing. Okay, I will be adding bouncing balls to bouncing meta thingies. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. It's the meatballs. Meet the meatballs. They're a happy-duty coding rainbow thing from the town of processing. They're squishy and so cute and me. Okay, here we go. Meatballs. Meet the meatballs. Okay. All right. Hello and welcome to another coding challenge. In this coding challenge, I'm going to take a look at Metaballs. I'm just so afraid of saying meatballs. But so far I haven't done it except for the fact that I just said it. But anyway, I'm going to explore Metaballs, which is also a concept known as Isosurfaces. And I'm going to look at it in just 2D. And I'm going to use a pixel-based approach where I'm going to generate this by processing every pixel of a window. I'm going to do this in processing, which is a Java-based creative programming environment. I will also release JavaScript code that goes along with it. And at some point, I might hopefully do it geometry-based or make you like this fancy like shader thing. We'll see. But right now, I'm going to create this from scratch, and I'm going to talk through also what is this isosurface metaball thing. Okay, so first let's come over here and talk about how this is going to work. The idea of an isosurface is basically a two-dimensional surface, like a canvas. And a canvas, a window, a computer graphics window, has a whole lot of XY points. And the idea here is that the color of a given point is a function of X and Y. So I want to create a function of X and Y equal to something. And whatever this is, I want to use the result of that mathematical function to color that pixel. So for example, I could just say it's equal to X, or I could say it's equal to X plus Y, or I could say the color is somehow based on its distance from the center. Let's just look at sort of that basic idea first in code. So if I come over here and I'm going to close this finished example, I'm going to minimize the browser here. Oops, lots of things are going on. And what I'm going to do now is first just say load pixels. I hope this font is good enough. Let me make it a little bit bigger, actually. I shouldn't be doing this live. That didn't work. Whatever. Update pixels. And what I'm going to do is say I need 2 loops. So I want some loops to look at every single X. And then I want that same loop, but to look at every single Y. So I have a nested loop here so I can hit every single pixel. And in processing, the pixels all live in a one-dimensional array. And I can get the index into that array by saying X plus Y times width. And I can make up some color, like I want every pixel to be like pink or purple. So you can see I've now colored every single pixel. So now what I want to do is make this an isosurface. I want every pixel to be a function of X plus Y. So let's do something like color X, 0, Y. Now let's see what we get. You can see that as X gets higher, I get more of a red. As Y gets higher, I get more of a blue. And as those mix, I get more of a purple. So you can see this is an isosurface, so to speak. I could do something a little bit fancier. Like I could say, give me the distance between X, Y, and the center of the window. And then let me have that distance be mapped to the color. So you can see now here that as things are closer to the center, they're darker. As they're closer to the edge, they're brighter. This isosurface is using the distance function. So I don't have an eraser. Ta-da! So in other words, I'm using the distance function here. Now, we were going to talk about metaballs. So the metaball isosurface is a kind of surface where, just like I'm taking the distance to the center, but instead of to the center, I'm actually going to take a distance to this idea of a ball, which I can also sort of refer to as a blob, because it's like this blobby thing. And so what I want to know is the distance to that. But the formula is actually 1 divided by the distance between the blob and the X and Y. So that's the formula. I want it inversely proportional to the distance. So the closer it is, the bigger the number, the further away it is, the smaller the number. And actually, instead of 1 here, that in this formula, each of these blobs also has a radius, and that number is tied to the radius. So let's make, what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, because eventually I'm going to move all these things around. So even though this is overkill for what I'm just demonstrating to you right now, I'm going to create a class called blob. And I'm going to use a p-vector object to store its position. And I'm going to use a float to store a radius. And I'm going to be able to make the blob, I'll just make the, add a certain location. So position equals a new p-vector at that x, y. And the radius is some, let's just make the radius like 40. So what I'm going to do now is I want to make a blob object. And I want to say blob equals a new blob at like 100, 100. And I want to have a function just so I can see it called show. And I'm going to say no fill, stroke 255. And I'm going to draw it as an ellipse, pos.x, pos.y, and at r times 2, r times 2. So I also want to put b, oops, now this is tricky because I'm doing all the pixel stuff. Let's put it afterwards. So you can see, there it is. There is that blob right up there in the top left corner at 100, 100. So now what I want to do is I want to take the distance, not from the center, but from that blob's position. And you can see now that's making more sense. It's darker near it, brighter further away. But I actually want the color. So that's the distance. I want I'm going to make this a separate variable, like the color to be 1, the blob's radius divided by that distance. And I can put the color in here. And now you can see, well, this didn't really do me any good. Because there is this white dot there, but it's just so tiny. So really the radius, because I'm dividing by distance, the radius value is really got to be a much different number. Like it needs to be like a really high number. Like it could make it like 40,000. And now I'm going to get something that looks more like what I'm interested in, almost this like glowing orb near the center fanning out. But you can't see it anymore because 40,000 is like way too big to draw an actual circle. So I'm going to keep these radiuses as small and just do something like, say, 10,000. I'm just going to scale it up by like 10,000. And so now you can see, and I also, to show it, I'm going to say actually stroke 0 and stroke weight 4, just so you could really see it. So you can see, whoa, what did I do wrong here? Oh, too big. So scale it up by 1,000. There you go. So this is the idea. This is the idea of the isosurface. The pixels color is a function inversely proportional to their distance from this blob object. So now, what if this blob object were to move around? Let's give this blob a velocity. And I'm going to make it a random. There's a function called random2D for a random unit vector pointing in a random direction. And I'm going to give it also like a random speed. I'm going to scale that amount by some random amount. And then I'm going to write an update function where I just add that velocity to the object. And you can see, oops, and now what I need to do is, in addition to showing it, I need to update it so it moves. And you can see as it moves, the pixels kind of go with it. Try that one more time. Oops. Right? As it moves, the pixels go along with it. So let me do something so that it bounces off the edges really quick. I can say if position.x is greater than width or position.x is less than 0, velocity.x multiplied by -1, then I can just do the same exact thing with y, but height and the y component of the velocity. So now we can watch this and we can see, okay, so now those pixels are moving along with it. Now this may not seem so exciting. I've really just got this glowing orb verb moving, but it gets exciting if I have more than one of these particular blobs. So let's see how that might work. So I'm going to go now to Setup, to the main tab, and instead of having a single object, I'm going to create an array list of them. You know what? I'm going to have a fixed number. Yeah, I'm going to have a fixed number. I'm going to have a fixed number. It'll just be a little bit simpler for right now. So I'm going to say a new, I'm going to just have two of them. And in here, I'm going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than blobs dot length, I plus plus, and I'm going to say blobs index I equals a new blob with a random width and a random height. This is taking so long to type, right? And then this, I can say aha instead of aha. I can say for all the blobs, update and show them. So I think I kind of got everything in there. Oh, no. So here, there's an issue here. Okay, well, let's just do something really quick. Let's just do index 0. And let's run this. Okay, so you can see there's two moving, but the color is only based on distance from one of them. So I need to have that color now based on the distance from two of them. So how do I do that? Well, right inside here, I need another loop. I want to say for every blob B in that array, I want to look for that distance and look for that color, and then what do I want to do? I actually want to sum all of them. So the way that this isosurface works, if the function is based on its distance, the formula is, if I go back to this formula, the function of x and y is based on the sum. I could use the Greek letter sigma here to imply sum of all of the inverse distance of the radius divided by the distance between all of the things that are on the screen. So I just need to add all those things together. So I'm going to say I have a variable called sum, and it's equal to 0. And then I'm going to add them up. And now I'm going to make a color based on that sum and take a look at this. Now, I think my values are so big that we're not really seeing very much going on here. So let's make this 100 just so we can see more clearly. Okay, so now you see them. That's not enough. And I'm going to stop showing them because I think, there we go. So now you're seeing more like what you might expect. Because it's a sum based on that distance, as they come together, they start to sort of like glom onto each other, like there's these gloppy, gluey, blobby things. And of course, now because I've done this, programmed it this way, I can suddenly add 10 of them. I can make my screen, you know what, I gotta be, because I'm doing pixel processing, I'm afraid to, okay. So, and then of course, if I have so many of them, maybe it would be good to just, now we can sort of see, now this might be more like what you're sort of more commonly used to seeing when you see a Metaballs visualization. And I could go back and I could look at, where's the raw data that's moving around. It's these things, and the pixel colors are associated with that. Those are some really beautiful meatballs. Metaballs. Okay, so let's do two more. You can stop watching now if you want, but I'm going to do some more stuff in this video. Normally there'd be like a subscribe, support annotation that would come up at the end. You got to wait till the very end to get to that. So I'm going to do a few things. Number one, let's make these rainbow colored. Why not? So I'm just going to say color mode, HSB. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say sum, 255, 255. So all I did was I want the hue just to be attached. So that was one really quick thing. So you can see here's a quick way that I can color them differently. I really wanted the center to be, I love this like pinkish purple color, which is probably like, so I'm going to constrain the sum to like the hue of 220. This is so silly that I'm doing this. There we go. That's so anyway, so you can see you can play around. You could cycle the colors. I could do something kind of crazy, which I could do like sum mod 255. And you can see now I've got this like weird thing because it's actually going above 255. And you can see I got these like crazy weird like color things in the center. So that's one thing that I can do. Now I'm going to do some more of them. So this really ends the sort of Metaballs, Isosurfaces discussion. But because I'm doing some synergy thing here. Yesterday I made a video which was about blob tracking. And I'm going to pull that up here. And I'm going to show this to you. So here is, I've got a live image from a camera. And it's looking for the color red. It's not finding it. I'm going to click on it. Sad. My threshold. What happened to the lighting in this room? Something happened here. Let's try this one more time. I'm going to restart this. Okay, let me try this one more time. Okay, so I'm tracking, this is pretty good. I'm tracking these two, you can see that this is doing blob detection to try to find these cups that I'm holding. And what I want to do right now is control the metaball visualization with the blob tracking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine two projects. I'm going to combine blob tracking with Metaballs. I will include a link to the blob tracking videos in the description of this video that you're watching right now. So what do I need? I need a couple things. I mean, amazingly, horrifyingly, I've named a class called Blob in this particular sketch, and I named something called Blob in the other one. So I need to correct that. I'm going to take this over to this sketch. I'm going to make a new tab. I'm going to call it Metaball, and I'm going to rename this Metaball and give it a constructor. You know, I could have just combined. Better idea, better idea, better idea. I don't know why I needed to do that. I don't need to do anything. I have all the stuff already. Better idea. I don't need a new object. What I need is, all I need is this code. Actually, all I need is this code. So I'm going to take this code, this loop, and I'm going to bring it into this particular sketch, and I'm going to take it all the way at the end. Now, I'm going to put it before I show the blobs. But now what I want to do is I want to look at the distance between the xy of each pixel and each particular blob in that array, its position. Now, its position is no longer a, I'm sorry, I'm spacing out here, is no longer a vector. And I'm going to actually write a function called getX and getY, because really what I want is the center. Because the blob is just keeping track of the edges. So I want to add a function called getX, which is going to return max x minus max minus min x divided by 2. And sometimes it's a little faster, say times 0.5. Min x. So this is finding the center. It's the minimum plus halfway between the maximum and the minimum. So that's get x. And this is get y. So let me just do that really quickly. That should be the center of those blobs. So that works now. And then I want its I already have a size function. So I'm pretty sure I wrote, whoops. Oh, I had a mistake in my previous code. I got to go back and fix that. I already had blobs index 0.size. That should have been b all along. So I believe there is a size function which just returns the sort of area of that square. And now, if I run this, that should be all I need. I want to say, I'm going to say here, color. Let's see if this works. Color mode, HSB. And then afterwards, just in case other parts of my sketch, I'm going to say color mode RGB. Let's run this. This is like, okay. Is it working? No. So one thing that I really need to be able to do is I'm going to create a Boolean variable. Show meta is false. And I'm only going to do this pixel stuff if show meta is true. And then in my key pressed function, I'm going to just use the space bar. If key equals the space bar, show meta equals not show meta. So I want this to work. So it should when it starts. Oh, you know, I have a feeling that the, let's see, okay, I'm tracking the blobs rather nicely. There we go. Whoa. So look at that. I am controlling. So a couple things I want to fix here is, number one is this scale is probably way off because the size of those is much bigger. So I'm going to say 10. I'm going to just use the constrain approach. And that should fix things, make things better. So let's make sure the blob tracking is working. You know, it's like based on the sort of like white balance here, I'm going to have to click on it to like calibrate it. Okay, that's working pretty well. I don't care that my mouth is also a blob. Oh, what did I do wrong? I guess, did I oh, whoa, oh, whoa, 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 craziness. What did I get wrong here? I multiplied it by less. Hold on, let me just give it a fixed size right now. Like we know that like 20,000 will do something useful. And then I have to think about what the sizes are of these particular blobs. Is anybody still watching this video? So you can see that it's the basic idea is working. It needs some refinement. But you can see that the basic idea here is working. I should really, but I just need sort of some refinement on the size-wise. So I'll leave that as an exercise for those of you who might want to make this better. But you can see that the point of this Metaballs example is to realize that these things just bouncing around the screen is just an arbitrary way of moving them around to get this colorful visualization. But I could easily take any other physics example, particle system type things where things are swirling or following each other and create all sorts of interesting results by kind of merging the stuff. So I'm going to make sure there's a good, actually I'll do this afterwards. So thanks for watching this vegetarian Metaballs video, and I will see you in some other coding challenge perhaps in the future. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had a screenshot. And so this will be a good screenshot. Somebody will pick one of those. Yeah, that's that. Okay, oh, face recognition would have been good. Okay, 3D. I will not be doing 3D meatballs today, but I will consider that as a future topic. So you can add that to the Rainbow Topics GitHub issues where I'm tracking this sort of stuff. But I definitely will. I would like to do that at some point. It's actually not too dissimilar from the super shapes example I did probably. It's very hot in here. Okay, I look forward to the day when I'm making these coding rainbow things and not just saying it's very hot, it's very hot, it's very hot. Okay, how am I doing? All right, 1 and 3 we did. So the Raspberry Blonde asks, are you using HSB for the colors? Are the ranges 255, 100, 100? So yes, I am using HSB, but the default ranges in processing are 255, 255, and 255. But using the color mode function, you can actually adjust those ranges if you prefer them to be 255, 100, 100. Meatball solar system. Okay, it is 1 hour and 48 minutes. I do these, routinely these coding rainbow sessions go up to 2.5 hours, so I definitely have time to do more. The issue is more that it's very hot in here. I'm getting a little bit exhausted. But I'm going to try. I'm looking around thinking, okay, so I think maybe I should do the 2D arrays in JavaScript. Informal poll in the chat. Number 4 or number 5? Oh, the blob 0 mistake. Got to fix that. Shoot. Should I do an addendum? This was always supposed to be B. Let's just run this real quick. It's funny how it doesn't look that different. Oh, it didn't matter because this was fixed. Okay, I'm going to do an addendum. This will get edited to the end. Okay, here we go. Yes, that is iced coffee. I actually don't like iced coffee, but I just felt like I knew it was like 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That's like, it's probably like above 90 degrees, so maybe like 30 Celsius. Okay, so I'm going to do an addendum. Mathieu, if this is too much of a pain, it's fine. It'll just be for the live stream, but maybe we can tack this on to the end. Oh, I see a few votes for number 5. Okay. Number 4. So far, somebody keeping track? I see 2 4s and 3 5s. That's a pretty even split. Okay. Okay, addendum. Oops. So good. Oops, I'm back. I realized I left a bug in my Metaballs example, which is here, that when I was looping through and looping through all of the blob objects to sum up those distances, I always took the radius of the first one because I was demonstrating at first just using one. So this really should be b.r. So now I've corrected it. You'll see, though, visually the result is basically exactly the same. Why is that? The reason that is because, dun dun dun, I have every single one gets the same radius. So now I have an opportunity to say something like, let's give them all a random radius between 20 and 60. Let's make that a bit more extreme, between 10 and 150. So you can see now, and let's see here. Let me also get rid of this modulus thing. Oh, wow, that modulus thing really makes a big difference. Hold on, what is going on here? There we go, interesting. So the size, the modulus thing really makes a difference in how it's visualized. So now I'm kind of like tuning this a little bit better. And anyway, you can play at this with your heart's content, but now you can see that these blobby things have a slightly different size, which gives it kind of a different quality as the things move around randomly. So, you know, I started going off the deep end there. So enjoy the Metaballs code example, make something with it. I'll try to release a JavaScript version of it, and at some point I'll come back and try to do a 3D one as well as a sort of geometry version as well. Okay, thanks again for watching, and this now concludes this video, I think. Goodbye. Okay. Okay, I'm going to scroll back. This is the number 4 and number 5. 7 number 5s. 7 5s and 2 4s. Okay, so it looks like number 5 is kind of winning the day here right now. I have something to admit to you, which is that I make up 2D arrays all the time in JavaScript, but I don't really... Not sure I know the exact proper way of doing it, but I don't believe in proper way of doing anything. I believe in just doing it. Okay, whew, I'm getting a little tired here. Okay, here we go. 5 is winning by 2. Okay, I'm going to do, that's the other thing about this 2-day, so here I have another question actually. Let's think about this for a second. That loading animation thing, what playlist should that go in? Probably, I don't think that was a coding challenge. I think that's probably P5JS additional topics. My YouTube channel is not coming up. So I have a P5JS additional topics. Let me look for that one. Yeah, so probably I think the loading animation would make sense for this, just kind of random P5JS additional topics. So now my question is, this one that I'm about to do, which is about 2D arrays in JavaScript, that's not a coding challenge. I think that's also additional topics. We'll put that in additional topics. Okay. Seems like the voting still continues. All right, so I'm going to do, oh, I got a notification. The Hamilton lottery is now open. Okay. Okay, cameras are coming back on. I'm going to do a two-dimensional array in JavaScript. And that will be today's topic. I think I need the whiteboard for this. And then I also need to set up a blank example for myself. Let me do that. To start with. So let me save this, close this. I'm going to go to localhost. I need terminal backup. Voting is now closed. Okay. Running the server. And I'm going to go to the Finder. What was the thing I did? Loading animation. Let me make a copy of that one. Call it 2D array. And I'm going to get rid of this folder of songs. And I'm going to do this again. 2D array, where is it here? 2D array. Oh, look at that. Nice little loading animation left over from that first video. And then I'm going to open this up in Addendum, the Addendum editor. And get rid of everything. And hit refresh. There we go. Let me have my console open. Since we're doing JavaScript.
So this is random, this is noise, Perlin noise that is, in the core random algorithm. As always, I always forget the this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot song. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget the this dot.
Okay.
This dot, this dot.
Now I want to go to processing.org, tutorials,
this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot,
and
this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this
two-dimensional arrays. Okay.
This dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot.
Okay. So I'm going to use this as a reference point.
This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget this dot. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget
And quit
this
processing.
dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, the this dot song. Never forget the this dot. Somebody composed that song for me. Firework.
All right. I think I am ready now to talk about two-dimensional arrays in JavaScript. Let me fix the camera. Let's use a nice blue whiteboard marker. And here we go. Your whiteboard is showing in your camera. Oh, thank you. I think I already fixed it. That's probably like, but I'll fix that a little bit more. Okay. How can I get this fan to blow more properly on me? Oh, it's still showing. Ugh. Just slightly. It's not that big of a deal, but I do feel like I want to fix it. There we go. All right, here we go. We are now. Yes, the what is that white rect when I restart the camera? It's these are Canon 5D cameras that I'm using. They're sort of hacked with the Magic Lantern firmware, and then they're HDMI out into a computer to live capture them. So I forget what that box is, but it's like the autofocus box or something like that. Yes. Okay. Here we go. 2D arrays. Not one dimension. I was going to say not one, not two, but it is two. So that doesn't really work. All right. I feel like you're right about my internet. Look at this. Stuff is just not coming up. Okay. Ready. Okay, I'm ready now. Welcome to another P5.js JavaScript video tutorial thingy-mabob that I'm making. You might be wondering, oh my goodness, that's the processing website. I thought this was a P5.js video. Well, the reason why I'm referencing this is that there is a nice tutorial on the processing website. I don't know, I say it's nice, but maybe it's not. Whatever, it's a tutorial, and it's about two-dimensional arrays. And you can sort of see, if you're working in a programming language like Java, that there's a very specific way to define an array as 2 dimensions. Because I say I want to have integers, and I'm going to have not just one set of square brackets, meaning it's an array, a list of things. I'm going to have 2 sets of square brackets, meaning it's a 2-dimensional array. But in JavaScript, it's a little bit weird and funny, and I don't really know how to do it. I mean, I've kind of done it before. I'm going to see what happens in this video to talk about 2-dimensional arrays in JavaScript. But I might reference you this tutorial to look at, just sort of to get some context if you want to take a look at it. So first, though, before I start looking at code, let's think about what we mean. What do I mean when I'm talking about a 2-dimensional array? So this is kind of like a visualization of an array. This array has 4 spots in it. It might have numbers like 4, -3, 7, 8. And each one of those spots has an index, 0, 1, 2, 3. So I can say, give me, array index 2. And what will I get? I will get the value 7, because that's what's in array index 2. Now, in a lot of programming scenarios, your data appears to you in your mind or on your pencil and napkin sketch more like this. Pixels look like this. If you're programming any kind of board game that's a grid-based type thing, a cellular automata, lots of things kind of work like this. In which case, you kind of want to think of columns and rows. And let's, just to make them not the same, right? So I might want to think of a spot like this as 3, 1. And if this were an array, this would be array index 3, index 1. So instead of a single index into a linear 1-dimensional list, I have 2 indices, one being the columns and one being the rows, and they're the first one followed by the second one. But what is this really in the computer's memory? The thing that you have to realize and be aware of is this structure doesn't really exist like so. This is a nice way of us to draw. I mean, my drawing skills are terrible, but that aside, visualizing the grid is helpful for our human brains to be able to understand it. But really, what this actually is, if I were to do this, is to say, let's take this array, which has 5 things in it, and let's put it in another array that has 2 things in it, right? This is an array of 2 things, and each one of those things has 5 things in it. So a 2-dimensional array, really in the computer's memory, is simply an array of arrays. And if I were to come back to this particular, I left that tutorial, 2-dimensional array, shoot, why did I close that window? If I come back to this tutorial, you can see the idea here that this is a 1-dimensional array, and here's a 2-dimensional array, which is just really an array of a bunch of arrays. But you can kind of look at it like this to think of it as a grid, which is very useful. So how might you make this work in JavaScript? Now let's go and actually look at the code. Some JavaScript code. So I have a JavaScript sketch which is doing really nothing here. And let's say what I want to do is I want to have some amount of columns, like 10, and some amount of rows, like 10. And I want to be able to say, look through all of the columns and all of the rows. And what I want to do is I want to draw a rectangle
I'm using some hard-coded numbers here, but I want to draw a rectangle. And I'm going to say stroke 0, fill 255. Okay? So I don't have any array or two-dimensional array at all. Oh, what did I do wrong here? Look at that. So first I've got a problem here that I did something wrong. Oh, this has to be J. J is not defined. This would also have to be J. Thank you very much. I'm trying to get a nice nested loop so I can see just the grid pattern. So now what I want to do is I want to have a two-dimensional array, which is a lookup table which has a color for every single one of these cells in this grid. So I want to be able to, what I want to be able to say is something like this. Fill colors ij, right? I want to be able to say there's some two-dimensional array structure that looks like this, and in the array red is here, pink is here, purple is here, right? Those colors are stored in that two-dimensional array. So how do I create this structure? Well, the way that you create an array is like this. This is now, that's creating an empty array in JavaScript. And you might think, okay, well, this is what I do. This does not work. That does, I don't even know what, let's see what sort of weird error we get. Unexpected token. So it's just like, that's just totally a syntax error. So that doesn't work. What I can do, however, this is a little bit crazy, and let me comment this out for a second. And actually, I'm just going to use the console here to show you some possibilities. So I'm going to make a variable called r, which is an array. Okay? So that's now, if I go here and just type r, we have an empty array. Now, if I were to say r index 0 equals 5, now you can see that's the array. It has one thing in it. If I were to say r index 1 is 15, now I can see the array has 5 and 15 in it. Now, let me make an array again. Now look at this. What if I say r index 0 equals an array? And r index 1 equals an array? And now what do I have? I have a two-dimensional array. I have an array of two arrays. Now those two arrays are empty, so they don't have anything in it. But if I had done r index 0 equals 1, 5, 9, and r index 1 equals -3, 9, 15, now I have an array of two arrays in it. So this is now the data structure. It's really about creating an array, and each spot in that array are multiple arrays. That sort of explains the idea, but what's a nice, elegant way of doing that in code? Well, there's a few different approaches we could take. Number one, I could say in setup, right? I want to have this loop where I go through all the columns and the rows. Oops. Sorry, I've got to comment this stuff back in. Everything's gone out of crazy whack. OK, so I now have this loop. What I could do is I could say for every column, colors index I is an empty array. Right? Now let's look. Again, I'm going to keep that. Let's go to the sketch, and let's look at what colors is. It's now an array of arrays. But all those arrays are empty. So what can I do here? In here, I could say colors index I, which is that array. Index j is random 255. So now, if we do this again, and I look at what colors is, you can see I now have an array of an array. So, and they all have a number in it. So this is now a two-dimensional array, an array of an array. It's hard for me to visualize it in the console the way I want to sort of like think of it as a matrix, but we can use it as such, because now I could put this code back. And instead of having fill 255, I could actually get those values from the array. And here we go. And you can see now every single one is pulling a color from the array randomly. So that's one way of doing it. Let's think about another way of doing it. Another thing I could do is if I know in advance, I could say new array calls. And then I could also say new array. Oh, and then I don't have to say this here, right? Because, well, hold on a sec. I lost my train of thought. This gets confusing, right? I could in advance specify the size
In that case, I know there's an array with a number of columns, and then I could say here, sorry, and then I could say colors index I is a new array with the number of rows. In that case, I wouldn't actually even have to put anything in it in a way. We could refresh it. I'm going to get some errors because there's nothing in it. But you can see now the array is already sort of there. It has no default values. But I can use the new array function to kind of specify the size in advance, which is just something to sort of see. The other thing that I might consider doing, I kind of like the way I had it before better, it was sort of somehow less confusing to me. But there's another thing that I might consider doing, is I might consider writing a function called something like make 2D array, and give it the arguments, column and rows, and then I could say var r equals new array columns, and then for var I equals 0, I is less than r dot length, I plus plus r index I equals a new array rows. So this would be kind of like a generic function. I think this is kind of a nice thing to maybe have in your code, which is you could just write a function that you give it a width and a height essentially, and it just makes an array. It makes an array with the right number of columns, and then for every single column it makes an array with the right number of rows. And so then if I were to run this code and I were to say things like make 2D array 10 comma 3, you can see, oh, I didn't return it. I got to say return that array. You can see that I'm automatically getting a two-dimensional array. I can say make it 2 comma 100, and you can see I've got an array of 2 arrays with 100. So that's kind of useful too, that anywhere in your code then suddenly you need a particular two-dimensional array. And I think this, I just see in the chat, this particular suggestion is coming up. So, okay, so these are some more about two-dimensional arrays in JavaScript. It's probably going to be the thing that I would say if you were looking for an exercise to try at the end of this is fill your array. And let's actually do this. Sorry, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say now colors equals make 2D array cols rows. And just make sure this still works. So that still works. So now I've kind of like made this generic function that I can use. I think that's pretty useful. And I was going to say for you, what I might think about doing is instead of just saying random 255 here, how could you make a cell object or what would you do if you have a two-dimensional array of objects, and what might you store in those objects? That might be an interesting thing to think of. Yes, and there's some other suggestions in the chat of how you could use different data types for the array, and it can get filled automatically with zeros and stuff like that. But those are sort of aside comments. So hopefully this helps you, and that you'll be able to use this function to make a 2D array in your P5.js or other JavaScript project. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Okay. Generalize to n dimensions. Yes, so I could generalize the number of dimensions. Oh, maybe I should make that an addendum. That's a great suggestion. That's a little bit much, but let's see. Arguments.length. Yeah, so I have to discuss that. I'm going to make that a separate video. Trying to think. So this is, let's just do this on coding on the not in that video for a second. Addendum, yay. Yeah, so let me just do this for a second, because this is tricky. So I'm going to write a function called make nd array, n-dimension array. And I'm not going to do anything here. And I'm going to say var. OK, so first I have to say if arguments is less than 1, just return a blank array. Okay. Then the first thing I want to do is say make a new array with arguments index 0. And then for var I equals 1, I is less than arguments dot length. I'll discuss what I'm doing in a second. Right, if it was just one more time, I would say n, or the like length is arguments index I. So then I say for, oh, this is hard. Oh, I'm going to have to use recursion? This is just an aside. I'm not going to put this in the video. It's too much. But I'm going to work this out here for those of you who might be interested. I see there's sort of a little bit of an interesting issue here. But I have an idea. Oh, recursion would be a nice way of doing it. But let's try to get away with it without recursion for a second. What am I at? 2 hours and 15 minutes? I don't think I'm going to be doing the blob IDs today. It's way too, I'm just like boiling in here. But I'm going to try to finish this for those of you who are entertained. Okay, so I'm going to say for j equals j dot, j is, I'm just going to make it work for 2 dimensions. Array index I, array index j. Whoa, I'm lost here. So I made an array. Let me think about this. I need to use the whiteboard for a second. Let me give myself some actual numbers to work with. So let's say these are the arguments. 5, 6. The first thing that I do is I make a new array that has 2 spots in it. Then I need to loop through the length of that array and make, okay, so that's what I did wrong here. Okay, so then I need to loop through the length of the current array, and I'm just going to comment this out for a second, and say that array, I'm going to make this I, equals a new array of length, what? So this is what's coming from the second argument. And I need to do this for every single argument. So go back to J. And then, yes, I have to use recursion. Oh, you cruel, cruel, cruel Oliver. Oh, camera's in the wrong place. Sorry, everybody. So because I was thinking I don't need recursion, because then what I can do is just after this is over, I can say R equals, okay. So I need a function. I need a function that, okay. So the first, can I make this function the recursive function? Or should I just call, I'm going to make another function. This is so, I know I could do this, but when it's like 100 degrees in here and you all are watching me live, it's making me go a little bit crazy. I'm going to finish this up though. I'm going to make this happen. Okay, so let's think about this. I know, going back over here. So what is the recursion going to be? So each one of these spots in the first array gets an array with a certain number of spots. And then each one of these spots gets an array with a certain number of spots. So that's the recursion. What I want to do is recursively expand each element of the original array with the arguments that are in that original array. Okay. So I think what I want is a function called like expand. And what I'm going to do is, and I almost feel like actually now I need some soothing music. I do. Somebody send me, except if I don't have the chat going on here. Do you see me sweating, by the way? It's like, I now have another idea in my head of another way of doing it without recursion. which is because can't I just now, for every spot, here, I have a weird idea. Let me just try this weird idea for a second, then I'm going to go back to the recursion. So the array is this big. And now what I want to do is go through every element of the array. And then I want to loop through, and I think I can start with 1, arguments.length. And so first I say array index I equals, array index I is a new array based on arguments j. And then this is why I need recursion. And then I need to expand. I'm going to expand array index I with arguments and j. I think this is what I want to do, right? Because what I want to do is I want this spot to get the number. I mean, I could say this, but then I think my recursion is going to be broken. Right? This is what I want to do. I want to expand this by this many. So I'm going to do what I thought I'm going to do. And then I'm going to write a function called expand. And actually, I don't need this loop because I'm just going to start with 1. Right? This is actually maybe simpler than I think. So I'm going to expand this particular array, some array, by the dimensions and index. So what I want is to loop through the length of that array and make every element a new array with that particular length. Then I want index to go up. So first thing I need to do is check if index is less than dimensions.length, return. No, greater than or equal to. So if I'm off the end of the array, I need to stop. Otherwise, I want to go through the current array and I want to expand it. Yeah, I could reuse make nd array. I'm just thank you. I'm just working this out, and then maybe I'll combine them. And then I want to each one of those elements to be expanded, and then I want index to go up, and I want to expand array index I with those dimensions index. So I think this should do it. I think this should do it. Let's now hit refresh. Let's just call it. Whoop. I didn't return. First of all, that should have given me that, but right? Okay, I got an undefined array. That makes sense. Undefined times 5. Okay. Missing okay. Expand doesn't return anything. It shouldn't need to, because I should just be. All right, let's console log some stuff. Okay, I got a blank array here. Oh, arguments 0. Okay, hold on. hold on. Let me just, in setup, let me just call something. So it just does it. Oh, ND array. Okay, sketch line 19. Hold on. Where are all my console logs? Arguments, array. Okay. So that worked. So why isn't arguments index 0? Why is that empty? This dot song is now dot length song. Oh, 19 should be arguments dot length. Where? 19. Ah, thank you. Dot length. This is the dot length. The dot length. The dot length. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so that was wrong. But how come this... Let's get rid of that. How come this is not an array? What am I doing wrong here? Oh, I didn't say var r. I didn't call it a var because it's the global. It was referencing. Huh. Yeah. What am I missing here? Yeah, undefined times 2. Oh, okay. So it's just the console log is doing something weird. Okay, so that's fine. So arguments 0. Okay, now okay, so that, let's look at what's going on here. Sketch length of undefined. So this is somehow undefined. Ew. Oh, because they're... I see. This has to be something first. Right? There's nothing... I can't... Really, though? Why can't I just send in... Like, the length is 2. No. It's 0. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because that's not anything yet. Don't increment the index variable. Wait, hold on. I definitely need my debugging song. Oh, boy, you guys... Today was the day where I promised I wasn't going to like allow myself to get totally distracted by some like weird extra topic, but it's happening now. Okay, so this is an array of length 2, and what I want to do is pass in. Let me just do this for a second. Let me just do that for a second. Okay, so sketch.11 comes here. The length is 0. That's right. Oh, I'm doing something silly here. I don't need to iterate through it. It's coming in to get expanded. That's my problem. Okay, sorry. That was sort of obvious to me now. Okay, so hold on. Okay, sketch cannot read length of undefined. Yes, because it's undefined. That's the whole point. I is not defined where? Expand. Now, yes. Now, I see what I'm doing here. I just had things in a weird order. And there we go. So the whole point of this, right, is that the individual spots here is the original array. Now for each individual spot, make that an array, then go to the next one, loop through its spots, and make all of those arrays. So let's see, this should be closer. I don't have any console.logging, so I don't actually see if that worked. Let's undefined times 5, that's promising. So let's see here. What am I missing now? I'm probably, okay. So let's just look at what's going on here. Empty, empty. So y, let's look at the index. Okay, index 1 gets 3, so y, so let's now look at what this is. So hold on. What I'm curious about is line 14, I think. Array.length. I feel like I should put zeros in all the spots. Array line 7 overwrites array line. You're assigning to R in a way that doesn't update the outer array. Line 7 overwrites line 13. I can do that. This works. Oh, it does. 1, 3, 3. Okay. So assigning to R in a way that doesn't update the outer array. Okay. Why not? Because aren't I passing in a reference? I mean, and then what I could do, because it's undefined, either put return R, oh, I see. Either return R and put it in the array, or create R outside the function. I don't know what that means. Is this the issue right here? Why can't I just pass it through and then fill it and then because I passed the value undefined. Oh, I'm passing the value undefined. I see. So in other words, something like this. And then something like this. No, that's not going to work. Something like this. Oh. Let's think about this. Okay, so I want each spot to be an array based on index 1 into arguments. So if we've gone past, we're done. And otherwise, whoops. So this goes out here, and I make a new array. There we go. Oh, I crashed the browser here. Where am I? Is anybody watching this still? Line 7 was wrong, yeah. I think I'm your 2D array, here we go. So that looks promising. Yeah. Okay, so I think I might have gotten this now. Yay, look at that. Let me, I like that the comment in the chat was 2D arrays but is now off track. That's putting it lightly. So make ND array 2, 3, 5, 1, 3. Yep. 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 Hey, I did it. Okay. Good thing I didn't just make that an addendum. Okay, so the issue which Oliver so graciously pointed out. Let me get rid of my. Hold on. I need this example to be intact for a second. So I'm going to make 2 files for a second. So I'm going to get rid of this, just to make the example do what it was meant to do, which was just make a 2D array. Remember some time in the past where I was just making a video about 2D arrays? Okay, so this still works. That's the code that I'm releasing. Now I'm going to do ND array function. Oh, ND array function.js. So I'm going to just leave this, someday I might make a video explaining this. But for right now, I'm going to, oops. So I have this code which I can run instead if I want. Sorry, I'm going to take out some of this extra stuff. So I'm sure there are some things that could be improved, but let's look at how this works. So the idea here is that, let's do something really simple first. Let's just say I'm going to make an n-dimensional array, and it's going to have 2 spots in it. So I'm going to hit refresh. Oops, I'm not referencing this. So let me go to index.html. I have to remember to deal with this later, but ND array function. So, okay, so notice that if I just give it a one-dimensional, I get an empty array with 2 undefined spots. That's what I want. This is correct. So if I give it, the only code that's happened is we got to here. So arguments, by the way, if you aren't aware, arguments is a secret variable that has just an array that contains all the arguments passed into a function. And it's an easy way in JavaScript you can make a function that has variable amounts of arguments. So I can say if I only got 1 argument, just return an empty array. So that's if I didn't get any arguments. So actually, let's do that. Let's do this. No arguments, I get an empty array. 1 argument, like 2, I get an array that has 2 spots in it, but each spot is undefined. 2 arguments, like this, I get an array with 2 spots, each spot having 3 spots in it. Now, how did that happen? So the first thing that happens is so this doesn't happen anymore. We make an array that has 2 spots in it. Let me zoom into this. Right? We make an array with arguments index 0, which is 2 spots. Then each of those spots gets an array that's expanded by whatever is in spot 1 of arguments. What's in spot 1 of arguments? 3. So it calls this expand function. And all this expand function does is first it makes sure, like, is there actually a spot 1 in that list of arguments? I renamed that argument dims for like dimensions, but I don't know if that makes sense. So it first checks to make sure that's a valid thing. If it is, then make a new array with that many spots. And then just send that back. But before I send it back, let's check to see if there's a third dimension or a fourth dimension. And that's where the recursion happens. So inside that new array that I'm making, just keep checking, keep going by incrementing the index. So, and the returning, what I had before, the have without using return, is I was passing in the spot in the array, but because it's an undefined reference, it can't keep track of it over time. So that's what really fixed it. So now we should be able to see 5, 9, like if I just do 2, 3, 4, 5, let's make these random numbers, like 2, 4, 3, 2, 5, 9, 3, we should see the first dimension is 2, right? You can see there's 2 things, each that has the second dimension 4. Whoops. And each of those 4, each of those 4 have 4 spots of arrays of 2, and each of those 2 have arrays of 5, et cetera, et cetera. So I should be able to, in this case, say then something like console log R2, I don't know why I called that R2, let's call this R. You know, index 0, index 3, index 1, index 4, index 8, index 2, and I should get undefined. Oops, and not commas. Now, filling it with zeros could be an interesting, oops, R2 is not defined. Undefined, which is what I expected to get, but what if I just look at this one? Oh, I get an array with 3 spots in it, which is exactly what I should get. So 3 undefined spots in it. If I go and look at this one, I get an array with all these arrays in it. So you can see how this works. Okay. So concludes. Let's see. Well, I predict that I lost a lot of viewers. Still 62 people are still watching this somehow. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to release this code somehow in the. I don't think that I, at this moment, am prepared to make this a video tutorial. Although, interestingly enough, I could start over from scratch and make it a video tutorial. If I want it to be Oliver writes, by the way, if I want it to be one function, 19 can be r index I equals make nd array dot apply. Yeah, I think for clarity, I prefer to stay away from the dot apply right now because that's yet another thing to explain. I feel comfortable making this a video tutorial. The issue is this is a little bit of like a kind of deep dive topic. It requires knowledge of arguments. So what I would like to do is I'm going to go to Rainbow Topics, Issues. I don't know, is this one already? I'll look for arguments. Haha. So I want to make, so I should have done this first. So I want to get to this. Everybody should thumbs up this so it rises to the, can I do that? Yeah, I can't even thumbs up my own thing. So I want to do this first. And I do already have tutorials on recursion. So I feel like I don't need to do that. But I think what I would like to do is make a tutorial about the arguments function first. And then as a kind of like advanced follow-up to that, I might make one about, and I could make this into n-dimensional arrays. I wonder if I spent the most time today on this, making an n-dimensional array function. Well, I enjoyed that. It expanded my brain. It hurt my brain for a little bit. I think that I am finished for today. This has been a 2-hour and 45-minute live stream, episode 50 of Coding Rainbow. Let's look at the agenda and see what I missed. So I did 2D arrays in JS. I did the Metaballs coding challenge, and I did the loading animation. So I did not get to more computer vision topics like the blob tracking with IDs. My next live session will be next week. It may be Monday. It's unlikely to be Tuesday. So at this point, it's going to be Monday or Wednesday. I'm hoping for Monday at this point. So I think probably I'm going to be back in live Monday morning around 11 a.m. Eastern time, but I'm not 100% sure about that time. So while I'm wrapping up, let me just remind you, if you want to find out, codingrainbow.com is the website. There you can sign up for an email list where I will send out an email probably over the weekend letting you know the date and time of the next live stream. If you want to see the edited versions of these videos come out on YouTube, you can press the subscribe button to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you want to support the channel through Patreon, that's a monetary support. There's a private Slack channel where I answer questions, and honestly, lots of other people in the Slack channel answer the questions better than I do and quicker than I do. But it's a kind of place for private discussion about the channel topics and question and sharing work and that type of thing. So this is, I think, everything I have to say. Coming soon, Coding Rainbow t-shirts through Cotton Bureau. I think they're going to be rather expensive because they're sort of, so you let me know feedback about if people are, I'm going to make stickers that I can have just to like pass things out. Spectron, this has been going for 2 hours and 45 minutes. So I've now reached the end. And I will have 3 new video tutorials that will appear. The loading animation, the Metaballs, and the 2D arrays will come out as separate standalone video tutorials on YouTube. Always looking for feedback. You can contact me via Twitter at Schiffman. YouTube comments, I kind of have this thing where I was like once a week I kind of go through all the YouTube comments and look at them and reply to them or make notes about ones I want to reference in a future video. But I honestly haven't been keeping up with that. So that type of thing. Any last questions before I go? I'll wait. I'll play you some music. Let's something like sort of soothing. Where's my rainbow song? P5JS sound. Oh, no, I do not want to open up iTunes. Didn't he do blob tracking with persistence is asked in the chat. I did not. This is my like send-off song, I think. Hold on, I want to open this at QuickTime. I think that'll be good. This is like my, you know how like there's that All in the Family music that's, anyway, never mind. So I did not unfortunately do, so this song has 3 minutes left in it. This is going to be my new outro music till I get some actual outro music. So I've reached the end of today's Coding Rainbow. I did not get to blob tracking with persistence. I feel like people are really interested in that. I can make that the first priority for next week. So ping me on Twitter or thumbs up it in the topics GitHub. What happened in the live? Spectron asks. This is what I got to. I got to loading animation, Metaballs, and 2D arrays. And I also combined the Metaballs rather poorly, but with the blob tracking. Thanks for watching today's episode of Coding Rainbows, brought to you by nobody, because I don't have any sponsors. But I could have a sponsor. You could be a sponsor, and I could say, brought to you by, where you can get da-da-da-do. Yeah, email, I have an email problem. I don't answer them, but I do look at them once every couple weeks. I try to go through a backlog. So Twitter is actually sort of like a better way to reach me, probably, if you have a question. And you try to get to everything eventually. I'm still looking at the chat for any last questions. Again, my name is Daniel Schiffman. I am in the 100-degree sauna at the School for Poetic Computation. This dot t-shirts. This dot t-shirts is a good idea. Yes, I am. Any advice about merchandising? I'm also happy to make all the design materials available for people to kind of produce their own. I'm not really looking to make money from merchandising. If people are interested in that, I'm glad to do that. And if that is a revenue model for a little extra funding for the channel, that's great too. Okay, thanks, Dominique. I'm gonna get back to you, Dominique. Thank you. But if you ping me on Twitter that something's urgent or important, I'll look for it in my email. You'd be surprised, because I have my email address associated with the YouTube channel now, you'd be surprised. I probably get 5 or 6 programming questions a day. I'm not exaggerating. And I think I would be spending all day, every day answering them if I did. So I have to come up, generally I have a auto response, which is like post in the processing forum, and I like to answer stuff there, or the Slack. Will you be doing any processing Python tutorials? Wait. Oh, there was only 2 seconds left. I'm pausing the music to answer this question. You know, I'm not really expert in Python. I've actually used it almost never, just a little bit here and there, hacking a script together. I do have a plan for, I have a plan in my mind of a couple things that I would like to do. One is bring in guests to these live sessions to show a project for like 10 or 15 minutes, just as kind of like a show and tell type thing. Obviously, those would have to be people local, although I could potentially have someone come in on Skype and like patch them in and have them show a project. So if you're interested in appearing as a guest to show something during a live broadcast, if you're in the New York City area and could come in person, I'm looking for, in particular, women and people of color to start with, to have it create sort of like a diverse and other underrepresented groups in the sort of computer science community. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. That's something I'm thinking of doing. I also am thinking, like, I'm going to be away for 2 weeks in August. I actually had somebody send me a tutorial already, a QuickTime file. I'm thinking of having some other tutorials come out at the channel while I'm away for 2 weeks, and there would be a little sort of more dead time. So having guest presenters, either people could come in the studio and record it here, and either do it live or I'd save it for later, or send me a video file. So if you're interested in participating in this, but I have to figure out how to do this carefully and thoughtfully, in particular since I am I hate this word, but monetizing this stuff, and whether I pay people a fee or give them a share of any revenue or just like have those videos up here for free, that's something I am thinking about doing. So if you're interested, please get in touch, and I look forward to thinking about that more. I now have 30 seconds left in today's live stream. Yes, in other languages I'd be open to as well. I would publish, help to create tutorials in other languages would be great. Okay, everyone, we've reached the end now. Thanks for watching today's Coding Rainbow. Stay in touch. Sign up for the email, sign up for the subscribe, all those types of things. I will see you soon. Next week, hopefully Monday, will be the next session, and I look forward to it.